Now we can see Machu Picchu through the clouds. The sun is shining there. Quite amazing how this was built up here. This is the path we're now going down. This is my guide, Edison. We're going all the way down here through the cloud. There's another small temple down here on the way down, which we'll be going through. And then we'll follow the path. Goes along there. And back down through the clouds. Very nice flowers growing here. This is something called tili tili. Beautiful red flowers growing on the cliff. We even have begonias growing here out of the cliff. This is the temple we saw from above, which we're going through on the way back down. This was an altar here, probably used for sacrifices as well. Now coming through for a spectacular view of Machu Picchu, which is now out in the sun completely. Okay, now we follow the path back down. Now it's really cleared up. You can see the whole area very well. The Urubamba River running through there. Looking down into the valley, we can now see Aguas Calientes, which is where we stayed overnight, and see how far we've come up from there. That's where we started with the bus this morning. This is the official entrance to Machu Picchu. This is Machu Picchu mountain. And you'll see along the wall here small piles of stone. People come and they put stones here as a sign of homage to their religion. Like in other places people light candles, here they put stones on the wall. We're now entering the actual ruins. At the entrance, this is a sentry post. We used to have guards here who could see all the areas around, see if any enemies were coming. This whole area around here was more or less a commercial area, and the part down here, place where they could keep the animals and let them feed. We're now looking at Machu Picchu from a different angle.
West side.
From the west side.
There's a lot of people already on top of the mountain.
Above that is Machu Picchu, which is a place you have to book in advance to climb up. Now I've seen what it's like. I think I'm glad I didn't go there. And down in the valley, again, the Urubamba River, which follows us all the way on our trip. I'm not sure what this one is, difficult to see against the sky. Before going into the actual ruins themselves, I'm taking a short side walk to an Inca Bridge. Amazing cliffs here. This is the path we're going along. At the side of the path, this is what you can see. Not much, no guardrail here, just a short wall. I suppose I shouldn't really be walking and filming at the same time here, but I don't intend to fall over the edge. Another one for Robert. Okay, this is what we came here to see. This is the Inca Bridge. Still as it was in original time. Built from stone, just with wood going across the top. This part of the track is closed, you can't go across there. But in case the wood collapses, you have floating steps on the wall. So you can go down the steps if you really feel like it, and then go across and up the steps on the other side. I'm not sure which is better, go across the planks on the top or take the steps. And then there was an old Inca trail, which is again not open to tourists now, that went off from here and followed the cliff all the way around. Adventurous people, those guys. Even here, walking down the track towards the bridge, as far as we can go, no handrail at the side, just a sheer drop, but they have a rope on the wall you can hold onto to be on the safe side. Then you get to a gate which is as far as you can go. The path is blocked from here onwards, I think for obvious reasons. Imagine walking the cliffs along here. Now we're going down into Machu Picchu itself. The interesting thing here is that every single structure was built on a terraced base. The reason for this is that the terraces give protection against erosion of the ground, so the houses don't move. If they have floods, they have rain, whatever, the ground does not move at all. So every single structure has a terrace below it, and that's one of the reasons why it's kept for so long. We can see here the original water channels which carried water to the town. The water came from natural springs, and it's still flowing here as it was originally. This is now the main entrance gate to Machu Picchu. As you go through here, you can see Machu Picchu in the background. This area here was a quarry from where they took the stones they used to build here. Then we have the sacred plaza here, which had 3 temples in it. One in front of us, one to the right, and one down there. This is an example of a rock taken from the quarry. The cracks are all natural. They would take the stone and use it as it cracks, using the natural cracks of the stone, and then remove it and then shape it from there into what they needed. Okay, as you can see on the walls here, we have these protrusions, and on top there are bits sticking out with holes in them down the side. These were used to connect all these different parts together. They would have wooden beams going through there, then bamboo sticks, and on top straw to make the roofs for the houses.
The way they made the roof.
This is an example which has been made to show how the roofs were made. And just down here we have the main temple, which is the Sun Temple, with the altar in the middle. And the window there, in the winter, what they call the winter solstice, the sun comes in exactly through there when it rises onto the altar. And in the summer, like now, if we look up the hill, that's where we were before, that's the sun gate up there. And at this time the sun also comes in, but through a different window, and hits the altar from one of the windows at the side. This is an orchid that only grows in this area, the Machu Picchu orchid. Just a quick view looking back up towards the guardhouse, and you can see why it's in that spot. It's really above everything. Whoever was up there could see everything that was happening all the way around. This is a temple of the 3 windows, which is actually not quite correct because it has 5 windows. One at this side has been blocked, and one at that side was also blocked. And they were blocked by the Inca, which is strange. There's various theories. Some theories say that 3 is a magic number for them. They preferred 3. But in that case, who built this? It may have been built before the Incas came here, and they just changed it when they came. Not really certain. This is another one of the main temples here. Faces Machu Picchu mountain. Some people call it the Temple of Water, as opposed to the Temple of the Sun, because it faces the mountain where the water comes from. The reason it's beginning to collapse is that when it was built, this wall was too heavy and it started to sink, and it dragged the rest of the wall with it, and this is the result. But it's still standing. We're now at the Sun Temple itself. You can hear the water running. The water actually comes, the water channel comes right through here. And this part down here was actually where women had their place as well, because they had a priestess who would make offerings from down here. Women had their place in the religion as well, although a little bit different. The priest wore gold. This was all originally covered in gold, by the way. It was completely gold covered. And the priestess wore silver. And this was where they made offerings of water down here. The stones here, it's all no cement or mortar, just put together brick by brick, and it's still standing exactly the way it was then. This is looking at the Temple of the Sun from a different angle. As you can see, they integrated it actually into the natural rock here. This is a natural piece of rock that was just built on top of it. Down at the bottom underneath,
You have to come closer.
there's an altar inside here as well. Inside the place underneath the temple, this is for hanging torches, lanterns on, for light. A lot of symbolism here. The steps coming down represent water. And that is the altar inside there. And on Solstice Day, on 21st of June, the sun comes in and hits the altar exactly. When the water channel comes along here, it reaches a system of fountains. This is the first fountain where it comes through. And from here, it goes along the channel down here. It goes under the ground and comes out here. Second fountain, and then goes down there. There's a third fountain. Again, everything was built in threes here. 3 was the magic number for the Incas. Why exactly nobody knows, but it seems to have some sort of mystical reason for it. We're now inside the Inca king's living quarters. This was an open courtyard, and just around the corner in that narrow alleyway led to the servants' quarters. Other rooms for his family, and this was the king's room himself, the Inca king.
And this is the only one house with private bathroom. Yeah. There are more than 350 structures, houses in Machu Picchu area, and this is the only one with private bathroom.
It's actually interesting to see the place with so many people wandering around, because it looks real. I mean, you can imagine people being here, and houses and people living here and doing their jobs, and because you have people wandering around here, it gives you actually a good perspective of the place as a live, living city. Now going up to the top there, to the sundial. This is the famous sundial. The shape of the protrusion on top is supposed to represent the shape of the mountain behind it. And you can see the shade is very short at the moment. At lunchtime it will be almost non-existent. The points of the construction point north, south, east and west. Again, 3 steps going up. It's the magical 3. Some people still believe that it has some sort of magical properties here. That's difficult to prove or disprove. Looking back from here, we can see the size of the whole quarry where the stones came from. You can see the amount of stone they had to work with here. There was no need to bring stone from anywhere else. They used all the natural stone here. Some of it was still left here in the middle of work. If we look down into the valley, the white patches down there are sand. That's the Urubamba River, which is very small at the moment, but in the rainy season it goes to the complete width of that white area and becomes really high and flooded. And because this is a narrower exit area there, the sand gets trapped there, and then when the river dries out during summer, all the sand stays there. And that leads back down again into the town of Aguascalientes, which we started out at this morning. These are the steps that would be used by the king when he came here, or by the high priest. And it would come up here, and the stone on the shadow from the stone, when it fell exactly on those steps, would mark the beginning of the solar year. Again, everything was calculated very mathematically. Well, we've stopped for a rest now. We can see how the roofs were constructed from the inside. Well, maybe using different materials now, but the idea was generally the same. Tied with ropes, and then with wooden thatching and beams across the top to hold the roof. We're now looking at the sacred rock. There was holy place here, and it's difficult to see because of the cloud, but it was actually in exactly the same shape as the mountain behind it. It's not a natural rock, it's actually carved to be the same shape. All the niches we see here in the walls, as you see in all the rooms, are not windows, they're not storage areas. They were used to put statues of deities here, of gods, and decorated the whole room with them, some with gold, with silver, or statues or whatever. This was probably a work area where they did spinning and weaving. That's Machu Picchu mountain behind, the one that people climb all the way up to the top. Not for me. Long way up there, it's about 2 hours there and back. This is another altar, they're all over the place, but I wanted to have a closer look at one of the walls, just so you can see this construction here. These walls were made with no cement or mortar, but they fit perfectly. Each stone slots in exactly into the one below it. No gaps, no holes. And it's not as if all the stones were exactly square. Each one is a different shape, but they all fit perfectly. They call these the eyes of the Puma. And these were also part of the astronomical observatories here. When they had water in them, the astronomers could look into the reflection in the water of the sky and calculate various things, stars and so on. Should help them in their astronomical calculations. It acted as mirrors, more or less. And what have we found here? Looks like a rock rabbit of some sort. This is where I just had lunch. The Machu Picchu Sanctuary Hotel, owned by the Orient Express Company. People pay here about $700 or $800 a night to stay here. But as you can see, it's right at the entrance to Machu Picchu. You can't get any better than that. This is the line waiting for the bus to go back now. We're not at the end of the line yet. The line goes back. And carries on the other side as well. So that's the end of the line there somewhere. Should be here about half an hour at least, but the buses come and go every few minutes now. Changing of the shift here, the local police parade out in the square. Everyone gets his assignments. The dog doesn't seem to be interested. We even get cabaret on this train. I'm now back in Lima. This is looking towards the centre of the town in the distance. I'm staying in an area now called Barranco, which is outside the centre, a very nice area. I'm on the seafront at the moment. Very nice houses around here, probably the most expensive part here. You can walk along the cliff here. There's a path all the way along, which is what I'm doing right now. See the area. Looking out over the sea here. Down there in the distance is one of the best known restaurants in Lima, which is actually on a jetty sitting out into the middle of the sea. It's in the Miraflores area. I've been recommended to go and eat there if I can afford it. Maybe. This is the most popular sport here. Everyone goes surfing. You see these guys around at 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:30 in the morning. There's always people here surfing. Maybe not too professionally, but you see them all over the place. And here's one guy that's got going. The whole seafront is dotted with them. So there's some nice waves here for surfing. I'm not sure what this is, but I'm pretty sure that Robert will be happy to see what flies around in the streets of Lima. After all the mud houses and so on that we saw out in the sticks, so to speak, it's quite a change coming back here. Seeing places like this, for instance. Security forces and police around in the streets everywhere here. Gives you a sense of security at least. Really not sure what these are, but there's quite a few of them around. Some big bird of prey. Oh, whatever they are, there they are sitting on the roof. Looks like some sort of vulture or eagle. I'm not sure what it is, but there's another one in there. Every now and then you can just see its head popping up. Must have a nest up there. Oh, here it is. Here comes another one. It's a shame it's against the sky because I can't see the colours. But they're really big birds, look like vultures of some sort. Still in Barranco, just a few of the local sites. This is getting close to one of the main shopping areas. There's bars, restaurants here. Actually, I'm a bit hungry now, I come to think of it. Go across and see what there is to eat over there. Looking back from the bridge towards the church and surrounding areas. Beautiful gardens here. Small marketplace like everywhere else around here. It's one of the main churches here in this area, in Barranco. It's part of Lima, but it works as a separate part of the city, has its own town hall across here. Nicely looked after area, seats that haven't been vandalised, restaurants, shopping areas. Gardens across there, and I go and have a look at. In front of this fountain, what we see around here, all these signs are actually an exhibition of humorous paintings from around the world. Iranian artist. The subject of the whole exhibition is pollution. And the fountain in the middle of the square. Walking down the main street, I've just come across this beautiful building. I've got no idea what it is. It has no sign outside. Looks deserted. Like a huge palace. And on the top, look carefully. Now ER, as far as I know, usually refers to England. Elizabeth Regina, the Queen. Now, whether it's got anything to do with her or just by chance, I don't know. Quite a building. Good morning, Lima. Today we're going to be walking around the centre of the city. Like yesterday, I keep finding these beautiful buildings that are closed and locked up. The one from yesterday, it seems, belongs to a family that cannot afford to upkeep it, that cannot afford to live in it, but because it's a historical monument, they're not allowed to destroy it. I presume this one, which used to be a theatre, is the same thing. And every now and then you see these really nice buildings, just deserted, and no one really knows what to do with them. Traffic policemen everywhere, very nicely dressed. Policemen on every corner almost. I'm now in San Martin Square, named after General San Martin, the Argentinian who was one of the liberators of South America from the Spanish occupation. A beautiful square, very impressive buildings all the way around. Again, as usual, on every corner, security forces, police. Another very impressive building there, it's now a bank. The rooftops are really something to see. Another look at the statue in the centre of the square from a different side. There's General San Martin sitting up on his horse on top of the pedestal. Now I'm entering a street called Carrón de la Unión. This is actually the oldest street in Lima. And as we go down this street, which has now been turned into a pedestrian mall, a lot of roughly 200-year-old colonial Spanish buildings here. And we walk right down here until we come to the next square. Small example of some of the architecture here. A lot of Spanish influence here. The original front of the buildings still exists as it was. Some beautiful architectural work. A little bit spoiled by the tattoo parlour, which is now on the front of the building, and various other factories and shops. But it's still quite impressive.
Una vida muy importante de este distrito. Vamos a comenzar con las cosas que los caballeros
big high-rise building in the background. And you still have the original colonial buildings here with the original balconies. And again the old and the new. And of course our security police at the bottom. I've now gone into a beautiful church here. I don't know what it's called. It has no name on the outside. There seems to be a sermon going on at the moment.
Oremos, acepta propicio, Señor, las ofrendas de tu pueblo, para que alcancen el sacramento. La tierra los dones reservados para el cielo. Por eso, con todos los ángeles y santos, te alabamos proclamando sin cesar.
I've now found out that the church is called La Merced. That's the name of the church. A very Spanish style, a lot of gold decorations and so on. Very rich. This is now looking at the church from the outside, in the front. A very impressive building. One of the main squares here. We have on the right hand side the cathedral, at the back the Archbishop's Palace, and next to it on the left the Government Palace. Again, they've kept the original front of these buildings with the wooden carved balconies. Possibly the most famous tourist attraction in the whole of Lima. This is San Francisco Church. The church itself is impressive, but what brings people here is the catacombs they have here, holding the remains of approximately 70,000 people. Believe it or not. I'm going to go and have a look. This is now the changing of the guard at the Government House here. Not Buckingham Palace, but similar. Couldn't photograph inside the church, unfortunately. You can see the amount of people coming here to see this. Armed policemen all the way down there. Just outside the central bus station, we have this beautiful park area. This is in remembrance of fallen heroes. I'm not sure if it's the Navy or just soldiers who fell in various wars. And it goes a long way down here, gardens on both sides. In the park, the whole park is just fountains. It's dark at the moment, they're lit up. They change colours all the time, and there's fountain after fountain here. Anyone for tea? A little bit dark, difficult to see the teapot at the moment, but it is actually a teapot, shaped like a teapot.